You hear that name and you picture the hair gel, the tortured eyes, the "I'm the good brother" routine, while Damon is off being messy in the background. You picture a victim, a cursed soul who tries so hard to be decent in an indecent world. And honey, that is the most successful public relations campaign in the history of Mystic Falls. Because Stefan is not a good man fighting a dark side. He is a walking psychological pressure cooker, and the Ripper isn't a demon that possesses him. It is the truth that finally kicks down the door. Let's start with the mask, the persona, that carefully curated good brother identity that Stefan wears like a tailored suit he never takes off. He didn't become the good brother because he is good. He became the good brother because he needed to not be Damon. That is not morality. That is differentiation by opposition. Every time Stefan polices his own behavior, every time he drinks animal blood, every time he apologizes for existing, every time he looks at Elena with those sad, wet eyes and says, "I'm not like him," he is not expressing virtue. He is performing it. He is running a 24/7 reputation management firm inside his own skull, and the client is a lie. And here is what happens when you spend 170 years building a moral fortress to keep your own nature out. The foundation cracks, the walls bow, and eventually, the thing you locked in the basement learns how to pick the lock. That thing is the shadow, not a separate entity, not a possession, not some evil twin that shows up when the plot needs a body count. The shadow is everything Stefan refuses to acknowledge about himself. His aggression, his entitlement, his capacity for joy in the violence. And because he has spent centuries denying that these traits belong to him, they do not wither. They compound. They gain interest. They become the Ripper. The Ripper is not Stefan losing control. The Ripper is Stefan finally stopping the performance. Let's talk about the animal blood diet, because this is where the psychology gets deliciously twisted. Stefan drinks animal blood and calls it virtue. I call it anorexia with fangs. He is a predator trying to survive on lettuce because he is terrified of his own appetite. And in the real world, we know what happens when you starve yourself. You do not become healthy. You become obsessed. You become rigid. And then, when the pressure finally exceeds your willpower, you do not have a snack. You have a binge. That is the Ripper. It is not a loss of control. It is the inevitable physics of suppression. Stefan's good behavior is not stability. It is a high-pressure environment where every kind gesture, every self-denying moment, every sip of deer blood adds another pound of pressure to the system. And when the seal breaks, and it always breaks, it does not leak. It explodes. Monterey, Chicago. The decades of carnage that Stefan writes off as someone else's fault, those are not accidents. Those are the receipts for 170 years of unpaid psychological debt. And let's be real about the body count. When Stefan goes Ripper, he does not just kill. He art directs. He removes fingers. He arranges corpses. He takes souvenirs. This is not a mindless beast. This is a man who has spent centuries studying restraint, and when the restraint drops, he applies that same obsessive attention to detail to his butchery. The Ripper is not chaotic. The Ripper is Stefan without the filter. Stefan without the apology. Stefan without the performative guilt that makes you want to forgive him. Now, let's compare, because somebody needs to say it, and I have the microphone. Damon Salvatore is an open landfill. He is messy, cruel, chaotic, and he owns every inch of it. He does not pretend to be good. He does not drink animal blood and then judge you for eating rare steak. He is honest about his trash, which means his trash has a floor. There is a limit to how deep Damon can fall, because he is already standing at the bottom, waving. Klaus Mikaelson is a different breed entirely. He integrated his monster. He built a 1,000-year empire around the fact that he is violent, and he never wasted a single second pretending otherwise. Klaus is dangerous because he knows exactly what he is. But Stefan is a sealed, toxic waste facility in a residential neighborhood. He looks clean, he smells like cologne and regret. He tells you he is safe. And then one day the groundwater turns black and half the town is dead. Because Stefan's danger is not in his violence. It is in his denial. He is the only vampire on this show who genuinely believes his own press release. And a man who believes he has no darkness is capable of darkness that would make Damon vomit and Klaus take notes. Here is the part that should terrify you. The fandom forgives Stefan because he suffers pretty. He cries, he starves himself. He writes in his journal with perfect penmanship about how much he hates himself. And you eat it up. You look at that beautiful suffering and you think, he is trying so hard. He is so tortured. He gets a pass. But let me ask you something. If a man murders a village and then cries about it in a leather-bound diary, do the victims get resurrected by his tears? Does his self-loathing pay their blood debt? It does not. Stefan's guilt is not remorse. It is narcissism with a hair gel budget. He does not hate himself for what he did. He hates himself for what it says about his brand. The good brother. Persona cannot survive the Ripper's actions, so Stefan performs guilt to distance himself from the crime. That wasn't me. That was the Ripper. I am the one who suffers about it. It is the most elegant psychological alibi ever constructed. He gets to commit the atrocity, and then cast himself as the primary victim of it. He gets to be both the killer and the mourner, both the sinner and the martyr. And that brings us to the end, the sacrifice. Stefan dies to save Damon, to save the world, to give Elena a human life. And the fandom calls it redemption. They call it growth. They call it the moment he finally became the good man he always pretended to be. I call it escape. Jungian individuation is not death. It is not martyrdom. It is the slow, ugly, lifelong process of integrating your shadow into your waking self. It is looking at the monster and saying, "You are me, and I am choosing to carry you without letting you drive." Stefan never did that. He spent 170 years locking the monster in the basement, and when the basement finally flooded, he chose to burn the whole house down rather than renovate it. His sacrifice was not integration. It was a final eviction notice. He died to avoid the work of becoming whole. He died so he would never have to wake up one morning, look in the mirror, and admit that the Ripper was never the enemy. The Ripper was just Stefan without the script. So the next time you rewatch this show and feel your heart break for the good brother, I want you to remember something. Damon admits he is trash. Klaus owns his monster. But Stefan convinced you that his landfill was a garden, and then he blamed the flowers for dying. That is not a hero. That is a brand manager with fangs. And the scariest thing about him, he still believes his own hype.